He said he didn't want kids, and I believed him so hard, I let a stranger in a white coat burn through my fallopian tubes while he held my hand and called me brave. Not strong. Not wise. Not self-aware. Brave. Like I was making some noble sacrifice for a greater cause. Like I was walking into a war zone for the good of humanity, not quietly erasing a version of my future just to keep him close. I remember the smell of the room. Antiseptic. Stale air and fluorescent lights buzzing like flies in a jar. I was in a paper gown that didn't close in the back. Goosebumps down my spine. He held my hand, leaned in close, and whispered, "This is why I love you. You're fearless." And I smiled. Like a fool. Because I thought I was doing something radical. Modern. Progressive. I mean, what's more empowered than saying, "No thanks, motherhood, I choose freedom instead." Except it wasn't freedom I chose. It was him. And all his perfect lies wrapped in affection and carefully curated boundaries. Let me rewind. We met at a music festival. One of those hot, dusty, overpriced ones with bad Wi-Fi and excellent beer. He stood next to me in line for tacos and made some joke about toddlers ruining the vibe. I laughed. That laugh ruined my life. We clicked instantly. He was charming without trying too hard. Sharp eyes, that kind of smile that feels like it's just for you. He ordered my tacos for me after I hesitated on the toppings. It felt intimate. He texted me the next morning. I ignored the 3-day rule. We grabbed coffee that afternoon. Spent 4 hours talking. The whole cliché. Somewhere between date 3 and moving in together, the topic of kids came up. I mentioned my niece. He visibly recoiled. God, kids are like emotional grenades, and don't get me started on the smell. I laughed again. Because I'd said the same thing before. To friends, to myself. I told him once that I never pictured myself pushing a stroller. He lit up like I'd just handed him a medal. You get it, he said. Finally, someone who doesn't want to ruin their body and their life. It felt like a compliment. Now it feels like grooming. He never said don't have kids. He just made it clear that having them would change how he saw me. How he loved me. And so, like a good little partner, I folded myself into the shape of what he wanted. Childless, chill, low maintenance. I'd watch him talk to our friends who had kids, all smiles and patience. But later in the car, he'd say things like, "How do they live like that? It's like slow suicide with finger paint." Eventually, I brought up tubal ligation. Half joking. Testing the waters. If we're so sure, maybe I should just make it permanent, save us both the worry. He went quiet. For a moment, I thought I'd scared him off. Then he looked at me, dead serious, and said, "You'd really do that?" "Maybe," I shrugged, "if this is it for us." "It is," he said. "You're it." That night, he brought home takeout from my favorite Thai place and left a note on the counter. "Let be free, just you and me." And I cried. Not because I was sad. Because I felt chosen. Like I was the final puzzle piece to his perfect life. 6 months later, the surgery was booked. Quick outpatient, no big deal, they said. Except it was. I bled for 10 days. Had cramps so bad I slept with a heating pad on my stomach and a bottle of ibuprofen under my pillow. He made me soup. Rubbed my feet. Let me cry on his chest while he watched documentaries about ancient architecture like nothing happened. I told myself, this is love. This is sacrifice. This is what being a grown-up couple looks like. I journaled about it like a martyr. I chose us over biology. I chose love over a maybe baby. And I really believed that. Until the night I opened that drawer and found the phone. But that's later. Right now, I'm still in the post-op haze, convinced I did something brave. He called me fearless. But I wasn't fearless. I was terrified. Terrified that if I wanted more, if I wanted to be a mother, he'd leave. And I loved him more than I loved my own potential. So I let a stranger cut it out of me. And called it empowerment. The drawer was stuck again. It always jammed when you pulled it too far, the rails catching at a stupid angle. I meant to fix it months ago. Like everything else in our life, I kept meaning to. I wasn't snooping. Let me be clear about that. I was looking for a Sharpie. That's it. Just a fat black Sharpie, so I could label leftovers before he inevitably ate the chicken marsala I was saving for lunch. But instead, I found his old phone. It was just sitting there. Face down. No case. Screen slightly cracked in the corner. He'd dropped it in the sink 2 weeks earlier. Freaked out like a teenager who just lost Snapchat. Ran out to buy a new one. Transferred everything over. Said the old one was dead. Said he'd deal with it later. He never did. Just tossed it into the drawer and moved on. Like he always did. I picked it up without thinking. Tried the power button. It lit up. Low battery. But still alive. Just like every secret he told me was gone. I hesitated. I knew the passcode. We shared everything. Netflix, Spotify, even the Trader Joe's grocery list. He said trust was his love language. I wish I could say I didn't open it. I wish I could say I had restraint. But I was already cracking. And the thing about cracks, you press even a little, and the whole thing shatters. The lock screen disappeared. I went at photos first. Because of course I did. Not out of suspicion. Not out of jealousy. Just curiosity. Nostalgia, maybe. But what I found wasn't us. No Italy trip. No brunch selfies. No birthday video where I wore that god-awful paper crown. Instead, I saw an album. My monkeys. And my chest went tight. Because he called me that once. Not monkeys. Singular. Monkey, when I climbed the kitchen counter to reach the coffee filters. My little monkey, he grinned. That moment felt cute. Intimate. Now it felt disgusting. I tapped the album. The first photo was a little boy and a little girl on a beach. Grinning. Sunburnt. Holding popsicles. Tim behind them. Kneeling. Smiling like I'd never seen him smile. Not a smirk. Not a polite grin. But full joy. Teeth showing. Eyes squinted. His hand protectively behind their backs like they were his. I felt like I'd swallowed a stone. I scrolled. Next photo. Him holding the little girl in a princess dress. She was asleep on his shoulder. Her face buried in his neck. My knees went weak. I sat down on the kitchen floor, back against the fridge. The hum of the motor filled the silence in my ears. I opened his messages app. Searched the name from the Venmo payments I'd seen on his notifications before but never questioned. Allison. There she was. Can you take them next weekend? Jessie needs help with her book report. Did you remember Mason's asthma meds? The texts spanned years. Photos. Videos. Voice notes. One from him. Tell the kids I love them. I'll drop off the piano money tonight. Piano money. I laughed. Out loud. Ugly, sharp, high-pitched. Because while I was sitting in a hospital bed letting doctors slice my tubes, he was buying sheet music. I opened Venmo next. His history was a graveyard of lies. School supplies. Dance shoes. Holiday gifts. Some went back 5 years. From when we first started dating. From before we even said, I love you. I looked at the dates. One payment, Jesse's camp fee, was made the same day he told me he hated kids so much he'd rather get a colonoscopy than go to Chuck E. Cheese. I remember laughing. I remember thinking, wow, I found someone who really gets me. Turns out, the only thing he got was away with it. I stood up too fast. Felt lightheaded. Braced myself against the fridge. And I said it. Out loud. He has kids. Like saying it would make it real. Like numbing the wound would stop it from bleeding. But it didn't. Because the next thought was worse. He didn't just lie about wanting children. He let me erase my own future to protect his lie. And I let him. I chose him. Over biology. Over instinct. Over the voice in my gut that whispered, "This isn't who you are." I turned off the phone. Placed it back in the drawer. Closed it. Made dinner. Faked normal. He came home late. Kissed me on the cheek. Said I looked tired. "Rough day?" he asked. I looked at him for a full 3 seconds. "Yeah, something like that." He smiled. Poured a drink. Watched TV while I sat on the couch beside him, staring at a man who had buried a whole family under our life together and never even flinched. I didn't plan to see her. Honestly, I was still trying to pretend she didn't exist, not because I didn't believe the photos or the Venmo notes or the text signed, "Love, Allison," but because admitting she was real meant everything else was too. And yet there she was, standing next to the bake sale table at Westfield Elementary's spring PTA market, wearing a sunshine yellow cardigan, dark jeans, and that tired mom look that's equal parts caffeine and restraint. I spotted her from 20 feet away. But I didn't turn around. I couldn't. It was like my legs were made of cinder blocks, and my spine was held together with lies. I was only there because my sister begged me to come help her carry a folding table. I hadn't even brushed my hair properly. But there I was, in yesterday's jeans, holding a lukewarm latte, and walking straight into the woman who had unknowingly co-starred in my 5-year lie. She looked up, blinked once, and tilted her head. "Wait, I know you." Her voice was higher than I remembered. Like she'd spent the morning yelling at toddlers or traffic. "You're Jenna, right?" I nodded. Tight smile. No warmth. "Allison Redding," she added, like we were meeting for the first time at a real estate seminar. God, it's been, 15 years? I opened my mouth to say something polite, something neutral. Instead, I blurted, "You have 2 kids with him." The color in her face didn't drain. It dropped, like she'd been hit in the chest with a dodgeball and was trying to decide whether to breathe or punch me. "You know." I nodded again. This time slower. More deadly. "I found the photos, the texts, the payments, I know everything." She pressed her lips together. Tight. Her eyes scanned my face like she was calculating something dangerous. And then she said, "I tried to tell you." And for a moment, the air around us stopped. "That note," I whispered. "Under your windshield, pink post-it, 'You deserve the whole truth.' That was me." I remember it. I remember laughing, thinking someone was being dramatic about a parking spot. I felt stupid. No, worse. I felt naive. "Why didn't you say it to my face?" "Because he told me you were a roommate, someone renting the second bedroom. He said you hated kids and you were helping him get back on his feet after a custody battle." I choked on my own breath. "He said I hated kids." She nodded. "He said you called them mini-humans with bad timing." And the worst part, that did sound like me. Like something I'd say at brunch after a mimosa. Sarcastic, ironic. Out of context, it could be true. "He's good," I said, blinking back tears. "He's really good." Allison softened. Just a little. Like she saw the exact moment the lie stopped burning and started leaving ash. "He was good with me too, until he was." How long were you two actually together? 8 years, on and off, more off than on after the second baby. He moved in with you while still telling me he was just figuring things out. I shook my head. I got sterilized for him. Her mouth fell open. No sound. I tied my tubes for him, because he said he didn't want kids and I loved him more than my own DNA. Silence. Just wind. Birds chirping too cheerfully. The PTA volunteer 3 tables down shouting about raffle tickets. Jesus, she finally said. We stood there for a beat. 2 women. 1 lie. 10 years of betrayal. Do the kids know about me? I asked. Jessie's old enough to know something, off. She once asked me why Daddy goes to his other house when he's not at work. I didn't know what to say. My tongue felt thick. He was never a full-time dad, she added. More like a guest star, showed up with ice cream and excuses. She glanced back toward her kids. Jessie was helping stack paper cups. Mason had jelly smeared across his cheek and was spinning in slow circles near the playground fence. They love him anyway, she said, because that's what kids do. I swallowed hard. I wish I could hate you, I said honestly. I did hate you, she replied. For a while, until I realized you weren't stealing him, you were just his next illusion. So what now? And she shrugged. Now we survive, maybe even heal, but not if we keep pretending we were the only ones he hurt. And then, like it was nothing, she handed me a Rice Krispies treat wrapped in foil. Don't worry, it's safe. No poison, just butter and rage. We both laughed. And in that moment, something shifted. I didn't gain a friend, but I lost a lie. And that was more valuable than anything he ever gave me. It started as a joke. Allison texted me a week after the bake sale. Hey, dumb idea, Jessie and Mason want to do the school talent show. Would you help? I stared at the message for a long time. I was sitting on the couch in my sister's guest room, surrounded by half-unpacked boxes and shame. Help with his kids. The ones he forgot to tell me about while I was tying off my reproductive organs. At first I typed, absolutely not. Then deleted it. Then typed, I'm not ready. Deleted that too. And finally replied. Sure, what kind of act? She responded instantly. They want to do a skit. Jessie has ideas. You've been warned. Of course she did. Jessie had her dad's dramatic streak, but none of the cowardice. She was honest in that brutal, clear-eyed way only 8-year-olds can be. The first rehearsal was in Allison's living room. The coffee table had crayon marks and 3 legs. Mason kept farting and blamming the dog. It was chaos, but honest chaos. Jessie sat cross-legged with a notebook and said, Okay, here's the story. There's a dad who disappears when stuff gets too hard. And the kids think maybe he's invisible, but then they find out he's just really bad at love. I blinked. That's dark. It's true. She didn't say it with bitterness. She said it like it was weather. And something about that made me swallow my sarcasm. So we built it. A skit. 10 minutes. 3 scenes. Scene 1, a family eating dinner, plate set, chairs filled, except the dad never shows. Scene 2, the kids checking the mailbox for a card, a letter, a sign that he remembers. Scene 3, the dad arrives out of nowhere with a bag of candy, says, I love you, and leaves again. The final line. Jessie turns to Mason and says, Maybe we're the ones who don't exist. The first time they ran through it, I cried in the bathroom. Silently. Into a hand towel that smelled like old detergent and Cheerios. Because those lines weren't fiction. They were verbatim the things I'd whispered to myself during the nights he'd disappear emotionally, even while lying next to me. The day of the show came too fast. PTA moms buzzed around the auditorium like bees in Ann Taylor sweaters. Someone offered me a clipboard. I declined. I stood in the wings while Jessie zipped her hoodie, and Mason nervously tapped his pencil. "Do you think he's coming?" she asked. It took me a second to realize she meant him. "Probably," I said. Because of course he would. He loved events where he could pretend. Sure enough, 2 minutes before curtain, he arrived. Tan jacket, flowers in hand. Fake smile turned up to 11. He sat near the back, beside some woman I didn't recognize, probably his next illusion. The lights dimmed. The kids walked on stage. And from the very first line. We set the table, but there's always one chair that stays empty. You could feel the audience shift. Murmurs. Uneasy laughter. The kind of silence that prickles the back of your neck. By scene 2, no one was moving. By scene 3, I watched him lean forward. His face frozen. Eyes wide. He finally recognized himself. It was brutal. It was beautiful. They didn't name him. Didn't point. But the script was a mirror. And he saw everything. The end of the skit wasn't applause. It was silence. Then one parent, probably someone who'd been ghosted too, stood up and clapped. Slow. Deliberate. And the whole room followed. The video went online that night. I didn't post it. Someone's teenage daughter did. Added a caption. 8-year-olds wrote this, I'm not okay. It spread like wildfire. The comment section exploded. Moms from 5 states tagging each other. Dads defending themselves. Therapists offering free sessions. And him. He called me. 5 times. The 6th time I answered. You used children to attack me. No, I helped them tell the truth. You just don't like the spotlight. You made me look like a villain. You are the villain. I just let you write your own script. He hung up. I stared at my phone and felt nothing. Not rage. Not guilt. Just done. Later that night, Jessie FaceTimed me. We got invited to do it again at the district showcase. You did. Yeah, Mom said we should celebrate. She's letting us eat ice cream for dinner. You earned it, kid. She grinned. You're kinda like our other mom now. I laughed. Then cried after she hung up. Not because I was sad. Because I realized I may never have a child of my own. But I help 2 kids speak a truth most adults never do. And sometimes, that's motherhood too. The aftermath was nothing like the explosion I expected. No door slamming. No grand apologies. No "you ruined my life" text in all caps. Just silence. The video passed 250,000 views in 5 days. Someone from a parenting podcast messaged Allison. A woman from Oregon sent a fruit basket to the school office, addressed to the brave little girl who spoke my daughter's truth. A local blog ran an article titled, When Kids Say What Moms Can't. And him. He vanished. Left town. Deleted his social media. Told a mutual friend he was tired of being painted as a monster for not wanting the white picket fence. I didn't respond. I was done painting him at all. He wanted to be misunderstood, mysterious, emotionally complex. What he really was a man who folded under the weight of his own cowardice. The problem wasn't that he didn't want more kids. It's that he didn't want to admit he already had them. It's that he let me hand over the key to my future, while he kept his past locked behind a closet full of beach photos and birthday cards. 1 week after the showcase, I moved out of my sister's guest room. Rented a small 1-bedroom near the bookstore I used to love, but hadn't visited in years. No more joint Netflix account. No more toothbrush next to his. No more shared Google Calendar reminders that said things like buy wine and cancel baby shower RSVP. I deleted all the old texts. Even the sweet ones. Especially the sweet ones. Because those were the most poisonous. He never said stay childless for me. But he said it in between every I love you. In the pauses, in the jokes, in the way his face would change when I talked about maybe fostering someday. I see that now. I got a tattoo. Just a small one. 3 tiny dots on the inside of my wrist. One for what I lost. One for what I learned. One for what I'll protect next time. It hurt more than I expected, but less than I deserved. The night after I got it, I sat in my new apartment and watched the full video of the skit again. Jesse's voice, steady and clear. Maybe Daddy isn't gone. Maybe he just doesn't see us anymore. I paused it. Not at the end. At that line. Because that's the line that stuck in me like glass. I used to think he didn't want kids. But that wasn't true. He didn't want to be seen by the people who needed him. And worse, he didn't want to see himself. He wanted soft women. Quiet kids. Easy love. And when things got hard, when someone asked him to be present instead of charming, he disappeared. Like a ghost who still paid half the rent. A few days ago, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Just a folded sheet of paper. One sentence written in his handwriting. I hope one day you'll forgive me. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't even burn it. I folded it back up and slid it into a drawer under the sink, next to the trash bags and Swiffer pads. Because that's what it was, garbage with a little shine. I haven't forgiven him. But I forgave myself. For believing him. For silencing my instincts. For erasing the version of me that maybe, just maybe, wanted something more than love wrapped in limitation. Jesse called again yesterday. They're writing a sequel to the skit. This one's about a superhero mom who catches liars with her truth radar and builds a rocket made of receipts. She asked me to help. I said yes. Not because I owe them. Because they saved me. They reminded me what it sounds like to tell the truth out loud. And now, that's all I want to do. Looking back now, maybe I should have screamed louder. Maybe I should have stopped the surgery. Or asked more questions. Or trusted my own heart before trusting his charm. But maybe I did exactly what I was supposed to do. Maybe this is what reclamation looks like. Not a happy ending, but a clean beginning. Maybe I should have said less. Or maybe, finally, I said enough. Subscribe to my Mia's Stories YouTube channel for raw, emotional stories and authentic insights that encourage healing, growth, and understanding. Don't forget to be part of a supportive space where stories inspire and lessons resonate. What do you think about this story? Let us know in the comments. Your opinion truly matters to us, and we're here for you.